Okay, I need to turn the game off. I can't even like articulate coherent statements because I've just been repeating myself attempting to explain everything about this fucking setting screen because I'm gonna uninstall it again and I don't intend to reinstall it until the fucking enemy highlight and enemy health bar stuff are removed from the game again. I have my default optics set to 3332 and I have my 8x set to either 3 or 2. I don't know what I'm doing with the 6 and 10, but it can be anything because they don't have aim assist. My slow zone on my hipfire is the same slow zone as my ADS. I'm playing at high velocity because I'm playing above 100 FOV. Once I go above 100 FOV, high velocity allows me to shoot more of the character than if I was playing at linear. If I was playing at 100 FOV, I would play at linear. I'm playing at 108 FOV at high velocity because the vertical of my ALC is making the gap of high velocity semi-solid, and when I was playing at 106 FOV, I was struggling to shoot fuse because the gap of high velocity at 106 FOV is larger than fuse. Once I went to 108 FOV, I made the gap of high velocity like a size that is inside of each character, and I have not had issue doing damage to characters because the gap of high velocity is inside of every character model. I'm at large dead zone because the response curve of 1.3 does not have what input mapping change. Speed does not change throughout the entirety of the input at 1.3. It goes 111 and then there's nothing after that. And if I play at small, I create a -1 sensation at like the third or second stage of my input mapping, and since there is no speed behind that, naturally, I cannot compensate for the input mapping reduction. And if I go to no dead zone, it moves the input mapping disruption to a different position in the input, but it still disrupts. The minimum outer threshold I can play at when I'm playing at highest 5 and 1.3 is a default 13. Default 13 is a 11111 pattern. It interacts with the slow zones at a good rate. Everything below default 13 struggles to interact with the slow zones because the slow zones themselves literally become more solid. Default 13 outer threshold struggles to interact with the horizontal of high velocity, and the horizontal of high velocity is my aim assist. In order to interact with the horizontal of high velocity, I need an acceleration pattern that creates a 2 in the input mapping. I was playing at 1 above default 13, which is a 112 pattern, because it allowed me to reach a position in my input mapping that allowed me to push through the horizontal of high velocity without like being permanently stuck off target. It gave me a position in my input that let me jump through and get to the gap of high velocity instead of getting trapped in the columns surrounding the gap. I am currently at lowest 14, which feels like a 11111 pattern, but the strength of the input mapping at lowest 14 feels like a 22222 pattern, which allows me to interact with the horizontal of high velocity throughout the entirety of my input. No other outer threshold is similar to this. If I was to go to a what is it like 2 below default 13 is a 22211 pattern. Every 222 pattern other than lowest 14 is a 22211. Lowest 14 is the only 22222 that I know of. I had to reduce this number to 170 instead of 188 to make the horizontal of this more solid. The vertical has not changed, and I think it's because the vertical of this has no shape. It is just a gap. I am at default 0.6 to remove the slow zones of my ALC optics. Every position below default 0.6 creates a slow zone. Low 0.6 is a dot. High 0.5 is a dot. Middle 0.5 is a dot the size of 4 hip fire. Low 0.5 is a like circle that's like a part of the character. High 0.4 is a thin line. Default 0.4 is a column similar to 4 ADS. And then low 0.4 is a circle similar to 2 hip fire and 3 ADS. And then high 0.3 is an expanded slow zone that is similar to 2 ADS. And I don't know if it gets expanded on the hip fire if I decreased it. I have removed the slow zones from my ALC optics because they require an acceleration pattern more aggressive than the acceleration pattern required to interact with the default slow zones. I am at default 0.6, low 0.7, middle 0.7. My 4x is at default 0.6, but it could possibly be increased. I just haven't been playing the game enough and messing around with the 4x optic to form an opinion on whether or not it can be increased. I don't know why my 6x is set to low 0.8. I don't know why my 8x is set to high 0.7. I don't know why my 10x is set to low 0.7. I'm at 138 to make the vertical of 1.3 as solid as it can be. It is a circle that is the size of small characters, and it includes the face of large characters. I want the vertical of 1.3 to be solid because I am combating Classic, and people on Classic are able to push to a character, get stuck in a position, and stick to that position. In order for me to be able to push to a character and stick to the position I push to, I need something sticky on the character. 1.3 is a circle that is the size of this, and if I push to any position on the character, I can stick to it without feeling like the game is aiming for me and forcing me to shoot a specific position in the body. If I go to 139, it turns into a column. If I go to 140, it turns into a thin line. If I go to 141, it turns into a dot. At 142, it is most likely not there. And I am basically free aiming in the shape that was once sticky. I have my horizontal set to 170 to enhance the sensation of high velocities horizontal. It has nothing to do with the horizontal sensation of 1.3. If I was playing at default 13, I would play at 188. 238 is the speed I should be at if I was playing at default 13 or any other 11111 pattern. I should probably decrease this because this is a 22222 pattern. 144 is similar to 138. I am adding extra to try and compensate for an absence of speed near the back half of the input because it feels like the outer threshold is like removing positions in the input that should still be registering my input. But I have to be at this outer threshold in order to interact with the horizontal of this shape and the slow zones of this. That is the setting. That is why everything is set the way it is set. I don't know fully what to do with the extra, and I would probably have to add extra to the hip fire. I tried playing at 30 and it was disruptive. I played at 10 and it was kind of okay. I don't think I want delay because by adding delay, I'm just going to create situations where I don't have this assisting me and I need this to assist me in just like having totality of speed in the input. It's not helping me aim, it's just helping me move around. So in order for it to consistently help me move around, I haven't applied a delay to it. Playing on PC aim assist to reduce the frequency at which the game tries to override my input so it feels like I am the one aiming. And I'm playing on performance to amplify my frame rate because I'm playing at a reduced aim assist strength. The strength of aim assist is tied to frame rate. I don't want to explain all that, it doesn't matter. But like the reason default aim assist is as strong as it is because consoles are locked at 60 FPS most of the time. I think I explained everything. I'm going to uninstall this game again because I don't want to be playing with the health bars or the highlight, and I can't turn them off because if I turn them off, my opponents still have them on. So I have to have them turned on also. And these two things basically remove, like, something about the gameplay feels worse because of the health bars and the highlighting. It just makes the game feel boring. It feels like I'm not playing the game is playing itself. It feels like I am cheating. And it makes the game not interesting. Peace.